Hi there, I'm Clifford Bates, and welcome once again to reading Plato's Republic, Book 1. Today we're looking at Glaucon's interruption of Thrasymachus. That basically the last video we looked at was Thrasymachus's kind of argument that where Socrates then he gets angry with Socrates, he goes back and forth. The justice is what Stronger says it is. Then there's a whole question about what is this whole thing about who's the strongest and what does it what is for the question of the analogy of the art as the justice is an art, and therefore justice is to justice must be done to the rule, not to the ruler, right? To the rule, not the ruler. So therefore the good, therefore, and the whole question about it being, it ends on this line that he goes, this is that line, he goes that the ruler has to be forced to be ruled because he's he's not benefiting. His rule is going to benefit the rule, not him, and that's why you have to pay him, because if you don't pay him, he wouldn't want to do it, right? That there would be no willing to do this, right? And he says that the slide here. For these reasons, to some guess, my friend, that is what that I was also saying just now, that no one willingly desires to rule and deals with straightening out other people's troubles. But people demand wages because the one who is going to do a beautiful job by art never does what is best for himself, or commands it when he commands, or commands it when he's commanding and according to his art, but only for the one ruled, and account of which it is fitting there needs to be wages for those who are going to be willing to rule, either money or honor, or there must be penalty if one does not want to rule. It is now here Glaucon interrupts, right? But how do you mean that, Socrates? Glaucon raises, right? This is the Glaucon interruption. I recognize the two sort of wages, but I don't understand what do you mean by penalty, and how do you declare it to be in a class of wages, right? This is, in other words, you have to say you either rule or I'm going to punish you. You carrots. In other words, this is, how do you motivate people? Carrots and sticks. Carrots are motivations, wages or honor, right? Money or honor, right? Or you punish them for not doing it, right? How this is the class of wages? Then you don't understand the wages of the best people, I said, the secretary says, on account which the most decent ones rule when they're willing to rule. Or you don't know that people are said to be passionate for honor and money as a reproach, and and it is one, right? In other words, you don't know that people are ruling that no, because they don't want to rule. That you assume that people, on account which the most decent ones rule, when they're willing to rule. So therefore, we don't understand the wages. Then you don't understand the wages of the best people. Then, because on account which the most decent ones rules, they seem when they're willing to rule, right? The decent ones when they're willing to rule. They don't want to rule, or the ones you or don't you know that people are said to be passionate for honor and money as a reproach? You're doing it only for honor and money, right? I do, he says, to Glaucon. So I said, that's why good people aren't willing to rule for the sake of either money or honor. They don't want to be called mercenary if they openly get wages for ruling, or thieves if they are secretly take money from the office themselves. And they don't rule for the sake of honor either, since they aren't passionate either for honor. So there needs to be a necessity attached to them and a penalty if they're going to be willing to rule. That's liable to be where it comes from. It is liable to be where it comes from, that it's considered shameful to go willingly to rule rather than to await necessity, right? And the greatest sort of penalty is to be ruled by someone less worthy, if if one is not oneself willing to rule. So, in other words, the greatest penalty is that if you're not willing to rule, then the penalty you pay is that people are less good than you are going to be willing to rule. So you rule not because of this. You don't want other people, bad people, to be ruled. You're forced to. The penalty. In other words, this on the account, and they're not going to do it for money. If you do it for wage, that's a revoke. Then therefore, it's kind of like a suggestion that they're not really decent people. They're invited. They're doing it for the money, man. They're doing it for the money. So I don't want to do it. A good person is not going to want to do it for the money or do that. They have to do it because they're forced to. And he's saying that in that sense, right? And when they rule, and then they go to rule as though it is on account of fearing that that decent people appeared to me to rule when they do rule, and they go to and they go to rule not as though they were heading for something good or as though they were going to have enjoyment in it, but as though it was something necessary, since they have no better thing than or similar to themselves, similar to themselves to entrust to it. They do it because there's no one better than them, and they don't do it. There's someone else worse. Get it right? Because if a city of good men were to come into being, they'd be liable to have a fight over not ruling, just as people do now over ruling. And it would become obvious that that the persons who are true rulers in his being is not of such a nature as to consider what's advantageous for himself, rather than that of for the rule. This assumes that the analogy of the arts is correct, right? Therefore, it's going to be the really just man is the one who sacrifices. This is the so-called sacrifice argument, right? That the really good person is not. This is Kant. This is kind of Kantian, right? That the good, you do it for the good, and the good cannot be useful, beneficial, or pleasant. It has to be painful, miserable. Like this is the sadomasochism. This is the Kantian sadomasochism. This is Platonic sadomasochism. Socrates' argument here is to be a Platonic sadomasochism. That I have to do it because I have to force to be. I have to be whipped and chained. It's going to be miserable. Ruling is a miserable thing. It's a horrible thing. Now this is the a point because the argument is that it's self-sacrificing. There's no common benefit. It's either that I'm benefiting or they're benefiting. If I'm benefiting myself, I'm harming them. If I'm helping them, then I'm harming myself, right, or hurting myself. This is the zero sum game argument that Aristotle denies. This is why the analogy of the art is false in Aristotle in that sense. Because if a city of good men came in, they'd be like to fight over, not wouldn't be it, right? Rather than in such a nature consider what is advantageous for himself rather than for the one ruled. So everyone with any discernment would choose to be benefited by someone else rather than to have the trouble of benefiting someone else. So therefore, any discernment, now 6 is discernment. This is a key word to understand how Socrates gets Thrasymachus under Thrasymachus' skin. For a long, if the long preceding argument seems to have been verbal or logical in a petty way, the reader may have neglected the possibilities that Socrates has discerned Thrasymachus' stronger motive as the desire to be seen as one of those discerning ones who can be seen beyond popular beliefs, right? This discerning one. So someone with any discerning would choose to be benefited by someone else rather than to have the trouble of benefiting someone. On this point, then I no mean go. Then by I sorry. On this point, then I by no means go along with Symmachus that what's just is what is advantageous to the stronger. But we'll examine this some other time. For what Symmachus is now is saying now seems to me to be much more important. He claims that the life of someone who is unjust is more powerful than that of someone who is just. Now you Glaucon, I said, which way do you choose, and which claim do you think is to be more truly spoken? To me, that the one to me that the one that has the life of the one. In other words, okay, to me, this is Glaucon, right? the one that says the life of the one who's just is more profitable. Okay, that is which is truly spoken of, right? I said to God. Socrates says, which do you think is? To me, the one who says that the life of the one who is just is more profitable. So he said, in other words, what is more profitable? The unjust man or just? The just one is more profitable. Glaucon says it does. Even though you've heard all the good things Thrasymachus went through just now, I said, about that of the one who was unjust, because I heard them, but I am not persuaded. Glaucon. Then do you want us to persuade him if it is in our power to discover a way that he's not seeking the truth, that he is not seeking truth? How could I not want it? He said, as Glaucon says, right? Well, now, I said, if we're going to address him by spreading out statements in exchange for one another, the length of the speech about all good things being just includes, and he'd reply in turn with another speech. It will be necessary to count up the good points of each of us makes in each speech and measure how good they are. And by the time we'll need some sort of jury of people to judge it. Which, but if we are just, but if we are doing just now, we examine the question based on things we agreed upon with each other about, which we ourselves will be the jurors and advocates of at the same time. So he evokes the concept of a trial. This sentence is a good believed description of what Socrates means by dialectic, right? That we're going to discover what we agree on. It is useful to remember that when that word comes to be used in an exalted way, it's later at 511b and 533c and d, right? Dialectic. This is what dialectic is. This is what he says here. Um, that we'll take each point we'll just count them up, and then we'll do what he said. I will address him by spreading out an exchange of each ones. We then exchange his good points. We go to the good points of his good points, my good points, and it'll be necessary to count them up, the good points in each of his makes in each speech, and measures how good they are, right? And at the same time, need a jury to decide which to judge it. But if we're doing this now, then we are the jury ourselves, and we will come about this doing this. This is how it's done. So he said, Glaucon said, very much so. Whichever way you please, then, Socrates says. The latter, he said. So he goes, now, come now, Thrasymachus. I said, answer us from the beginning. Do you claim that complete injustice is more profitable than justice when it's complete? So this is the end. This is the end of the Glaucon interruption. So we'll tend. The rest of the thing is again the return to Socrates and Thrasymachus. We're going to stop here. If you have any comments or questions, please put them below. When I see them, I will respond to them. Comments, questions, or issues that you want to think about this question about the Glaucon interruption. If you have any suggestions or comments, put it there below. If you liked it, like it, share. So, voila. Um, so if you like it, hit the like button, share it with a friend, share it with your social media, get it out there, and encourage others that they should watch it in that sense. If you've not subscribed, subscribe. Need to build it. It gets. What do you get with subscriptions? You get notifications of these things, and get others to subscribe. Encourage others. Go look at us and see to get them to join in, so we can grow the numbers a little bit. Like to grow. I like to get a cut enough that I can get some money from YouTube. Right with that, whatever. Then what happens? If you didn't like it, say no. Go ahead, say no, but say why in the comments. What's wrong? What's that? You don't like the fan over there. You don't like how I do it. You don't like the text and like this. You don't like my stutter and things like this. Whatever. Say what it is. So you have an issue. Um, you can follow me on social. If you want to follow me on social media, the links are below. If you want to find you can follow me, my academic social media about me as a scholar and my research, my scholarly research, and the links below too, below the social media ones. And then you can, if you want to help do contribute financially to what I do here, and want to help to do this, you can becoming a member, subscribe to our Patreon. This is like that. One of my be a patron for me. It's like I think it's $5 a month or something like that at most. I think I have to get maybe $1 a month. I don't know what I remember. And you're gonna say, why aren't you doing it? Why are you not doing me things like this? Well, I'm doing these things. I'm doing these things. It'd be nice if people reward you, but they don't. Okay, I understand. Another way you can help me by buying one of my books listed below. Of the books are listed below. You can buy them at Amazon, Barnes and Noble, or any online. Most of the online book distributors. You can buy them ebooks, except I'm not sure. Yeah, you can buy them as ebooks also. So you can get this if you need to do this. If you're going to buy, no, sorry, I don't think the Lulu book can be an ebook. It's a PDF at best, but I don't think it's available as an ebook. Okay, sorry. But the Lulu book is the best one for the purposes of one helping me, because you buy it by Lulu, I'll get the money that Amazon gets. If you buy by Amazon, I'll get something, but I won't. The Amazon will make profit. If you buy by Lulu, I'll get the profit that Amazon will get. So that's that. Well, that's it. We'll say goodbye, and we'll finish up this Plato in our next video. Take care. Bye bye. Have a good day.